It's common to want to sell a property after a loved one dies, especially if the surviving spouse is now moving. Maybe they need to go into care. Maybe they simply find it too difficult to manage the property on their own, financially, physically, or emotionally. If the deceased person is on title at the time you decide to sell the property, they will need to come off right away. While you can do the paperwork for the transfer and the sale all at once, we really prefer that you don't lump these two things together. If something happens with the process of removing the deceased person from title, that can cause problems for the sale. Some examples of wrinkles that we see in this kind of situation are having to reorder another death certificate because the original one you had has been lost. That can be really complicated if the person died outside of BC, and it just takes time. Or finding out that the property was owned as tenants in common instead of joint tenancy. Also, finding out that the surviving spouse had to come up with additional funds for property transfer tax purposes because they weren't a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. Another one is that the names on the title and the death certificate don't match, so extra paperwork is required for that. All of these things cause varying degrees of extra work and cost, so we'd like to get them caught and addressed as soon as possible, and preferably before you put the property up for sale. The reassuring part is that, assuming the property was owned as true joint tenants, this doesn't have to slow down your plans by much. You can list the property for sale and work with your realtor while we work on the title transfer in the background. So if you're planning to sell, let your realtor know that you have a deceased person on the title right away and contact us as soon as you can, preferably when you list the property at the very latest, so that we can make sure the title work and the sale timeline all line up smoothly. Last-minute scrambles are just not something you want to be dealing with in the midst of everything else when you're selling a property.